About 10 games left of the season. Wildcard race is heating up.
Changing here. McDavid, beautiful move. Front back the ball, over to Crosby. He scores! Crosby, 500! Watch this play between the legs, comes right back to him.
But man, oh man, has his kid got some hands.
The net, it looks like he's going for the old Michigan. He brings it up. Miller goes to knock it off. He shoots it in front.
Oh, what a pass!
Away, gains the zone. Around Kubalik. Back to Foligno. He scores! With a lot of mustard on it.
Ovechkin scores! The Grade 8 Express pulls into third place all time.
This is the Pucked Up Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pucked Up Podcast. I am Chris. Joined with me, as always, are the better-looking portion of the show, D in Danger, and joined with us today as a special guest, our first ever special guest, is Danger's son, Matt. Matt, welcome to Pucked Up.
Welcome to Pucked Up, dude.
Good to be here.
This is my spawn. For those of you that have not met or heard his voice yet, I apologize in advance. I'm just kidding. He's a good kid. Hockey opinions, but that's fine.
It's fair.
Yeah.
We were unfortunately unable to bring you guys a show last week as Danger, Matt, and myself all were sick with the same thing.
Yeah,
Like, they were sick, y'all.
I lost like 8 pounds, just like...
I lost 10,
so
he lost 8. I mean, don't get us wrong. Like, I have gained that 10 pounds back, like, immediately once I could keep the food in my system again, but it was pretty nasty. I feel sorry
rough
for anybody battling norovirus out there, because
it was
it
rough.
is no bueno.
Oh, yeah. But we are back. There were a couple things that happened last week we definitely want to talk about. We're going to address the elephant in the room. Dee's camera doesn't work today.
It said, fuck you, bitch. And I said, wow, that's fucking aggressive.
So she is with us in picture form.
I am.
But, yes, we do have a couple things that we want to talk about, including something that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, and Dee, your team was a part of it.
Yes. I momentarily forgot where we were going to next. Honestly, it was so cool. So, for those who don't know, the Disney Plus subscription service decided that they were going to simulcast the New York Rangers versus the Washington Caps game, but they were going to do it in an animated version. So they did it in Big City Greens, which is obviously a Disney Plus.
It's just a regular Disney show. Yeah, so they were shown on regular Disney Channel. Yeah, on TV.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. Okay, so I know it was streaming on Disney Plus. That's where I watched it.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a partnership with ESPN, Disney, and the NHL, and it had 3D animated players whose movements were synced with what was happening on ice at Madison Square Garden. So they had these little like tags inserted in everyone's jerseys and everything, and on the puck, so they could trace it in real time. So the stream was lagging behind. Obviously,
it was like a 20-second delay.
20 second delay.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, but it was so cool. And then, like, during the game, they would swap out actual players for characters in the TV show.
Oh,
so
cool.
You would see that, like, Cricket Green went on to replace a player on the Rangers, while Tilly Green would then replace a player on the Caps. So it'd be like, it looks like Evgeny Kuznetsov needs a break. We're going to send Tilly Green in.
And the goaltenders were characters, too.
The goaltenders are characters too. The ref was a chicken that would like fly in and out when needed. It was so fucking cool.
This is still like streamable on Disney Plus.
It's on Hulu, actually.
It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
Okay.
So you can still watch it. And everyone that I know that has kids that is a hockey fan was watching it with their kids, and they all fucking loved it because you could see all the animal characters from the city around the rinks as like fans
Yeah.
and people
That's
watching it
so
out of like
cool.
the windows of the, buildings nearby. And you also had like Grandma Alice was there just chilling in the game. It was so cool. And so it was they were, describing what was happening on the ice. They had announcers and everything, who were ESPN announcers for the game.
They had them bodysuited up for mocap suits.
Yeah.
So during the intermissions, they were actually motion captured into the show and into the broadcast. I've been saying,
it was so fucking cool
since this happened, I don't think people realize how much this is going to change how sports and how all professional sports leagues are going to eventually start broadcasting to a younger audience. Like, that's always been the thing, right? Is you want to understand the next step on how to capture that younger audience.
This is 100% it.
Yeah, and actually, and even a good question, perfect for Matt being in your age, like, what is the one way that you get your hockey content outside of watching games?
I either play the NHL 2K games.
But like current hockey news.
Current hockey news.
Yeah.
Probably the NHL app.
Okay.
If I'm not
talking to like Grandma and I am sure.
Yeah.
Too,
that and either just watching highlights.
Well, and are you still doing your fantasy team?
Yeah, I still have my fantasy team. I check it every once in a while.
Do you also use like social media and stuff like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram?
Yeah, highlights on TikTok and YouTube and stuff.
And that's the perfect way to broadcast to your audience, to like your age group. I know my niece is getting really big into lacrosse. Obviously in my household it's no secret for those that know me that I love lacrosse. But she uses a lot of Instagram and TikTok and YouTube to catch up on that stuff. So I feel like looking for a even younger audience than that, this is the best way to do it, because you're incorporating their show from Disney and making it more fun while actually teaching them the game,
Right. And you, like, being able to share the game in a way that younger kids are going to find entertaining as a parent is really cool, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, so for whenever they got into fights, which, yes, there was Cast vs. Rangers, so there was at least one.
There was a couple.
All they did was the animation change to show, like, dust, which is funny when you think about that they're on ice, so, like, physically that would be impossible.
That's awesome.
And they were like belly bumping each other, and that was it. And so it was like a really good way to introduce that, like, obviously there are disagreements in the sport, but you don't have to show the violence. And so I thought that was actually really smart of them to do it that way. And truthfully, they couldn't have done it any other way, just because of the limitations of just having like a tracker on the suit instead of like them wearing mocap suits. Which I don't think we'll ever get to that, because it's just too restrictive for the players, obviously.
Right.
And obviously this is still very new technology.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. So the firm that did it is called Beyond Sports, and they operate out of the Netherlands. And they've actually been doing this already for professional soccer games.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So then they brought it over here, and it's actually, they expanded on it and made it an even bigger thing than Beyond Sports had been doing for whatchamacallit.
Yeah, and for leagues in the US, especially the NHL, to be the one to, I'm gonna say it, have the balls to try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that speaks volumes to what the NHL is willing to do to grow their fan base. And I'm not saying this is not a bash at the MLB, the NFL, like the NBA. Like, it's not a bash in any of the pro sports leagues in the US. I think with technology like this is something that you want to be the first to try it. Yeah. And the NHL over the past couple of years has kind of, obviously with COVID and with how things have gone, they've kind of experimented and been the first with some stuff too there. So I think they're just riding the train of, hey, fuck it, we're just going to try what we need to try. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And if it works, this is going to be insane.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Shout out to Disney for wanting to be a part of it too, though.
Yeah. And for the show's producers, like the, animated show, to be able to be willing to do this kind of crossover event, I think is really awesome.
And the creators of the show are from Michigan. They grew up around hockey, and one of the voice actor of Tilly Well, yeah, well, probably. But like the voice actor of Tilly, she's from Canada. So like this is a show for people that are involved in it that grew up around the sport.
Right.
And I believe the newest season they said there will be a hockey themed episode. So
fun.
I think it's cool that they're incorporating it all.
I don't know if their characters have different voices, but in that episode it'd be cool to see if they could get some like well-known hockey voices to come in.
Kind of like
an announcer, Wes McCauley, or
dude, that was so awesome.
Somebody whose voice is just so recognizable.
Yeah,
Wes McCauley in like an animated form would be amazing. As like a police officer or something, I'd love it.
Yeah, I feel like Disney's already got a good rapport with at least the Anaheim Ducks, obviously with Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
Oh yeah,
right.
Like I think that'll be a cool thing to add, but I don't know. I'm excited to see where this goes and see how if they do this every year, because it's so friggin' cool, and I think I said it at least 20 times watching that game to you guys. I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, you guys kept talking about it, but I don't remember what I was doing. I was playing a game with the guy. I don't know.
Because I was watching it at work. I was like, no, I need to see this. I even showed my boss who is from he's from India, so his knowledge of hockey is over his time living in the US, but he's got a 4-year-old son who he wants to get into sports. And he goes, this is a really cool way to do it.
Right, absolutely.
I was like, yeah. So we'll see where that technology goes.
Well, and already Beyond Sports had said that it's not going to reveal its next big projects, but noted that there will be a return to the NHL animation during the playoffs. So we may see it again this season.
I hope it's a Stanley Cup
for
final
playoff
game.
time.
I hope it's a Stanley Cup final game.
I don't know if they do it for the final, but I think that they would at least do it in in like the final series, like the game 1 of the final.
Right. Or to do like an animated version of it in addition to the stream, the regular version.
Well, yeah, and that's what it was. It was streaming on NHL that night. And then also on Disney, so you could watch it with either adult presenters.
Because my dad was watching it on ESPN because he just happened to pop it on, and I was like, I was watching it on Disney, on the Disney Channel, because it was on Disney Channel and Disney XD and Disney Plus. But
I know ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and Hulu are.
It's all Disney. It's all owned by the mouse.
Yeah, everything's owned by the mouse.
Everything
now.
is,
the world is owned by the mouse.
Yeah, you don't fuck with the mouse. But if you guys do want to go watch the Big City Greens classic, it is on Hulu. Go check it out. Be the judge, and just
let us know what you think.
Fucking enjoy the fact that you can watch a live hockey game as a cartoon.
Yeah, which is so cool.
Speaking of newer technologies and things we're seeing, there was a super scary incident.
Yes. And it was over in Sweden, and it was the Swedish women's final. And please forgive me, you guys know me, I pronounce everything wrong anyway. But Luella defender Jenny Hirokski had a skate cut her throat. She was then rushed to the hospital. She is this is a couple days ago now, but she is in stable condition. She may even be home by now. Luella did end up going and winning the game after the 30-minute delay. Obviously, they had to come out and clean the ice in addition to getting her off. Yeah. It says Hirokski, or Jenny, I'm just going to say Jenny, was tended to rather quickly on the ice, being rushed to the hospital. And after a 30-minute delay, the game would resume. And it just says, thank goodness for the fast-acting players, referees, and staff. Without this horrific event could have ended a lot differently, which is for sure. And we've talked about, a couple of different circumstances where players have gotten cut. The couple that have happened.
Obviously, the big one this year with Evander Kane.
Right.
Well, and Jacob Vrana, too.
Jacob Vrana took one to the face.
Took one to the face, 25 stitches to the nose.
Even Foligno, they haven't come right out and said it, but there is the rumor that Foligno got his upper thigh cut a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. And he was out with a lower body injury. But yeah, based on the replays, they think that he got his his thigh cut, which obviously is not nearly as scary as a wrist or a throat, but still.
Right.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes into a topic later about, changing the technology of jerseys. And, we've talked about like Roar Road that does the anti-cut technology, long wear shirts or long sleeve shirts and stuff.
Right.
So, anything we can do to try to protect our players, but it's definitely scary. Thankfully, she's okay.
You're skating around with fucking knives on your feet. Like,
Legit.
hockey's a dangerous
literal
sport.
Knives.
It's less
sharper than most kitchen knives. Like,
it's
beyond
and the way the skates are made, it's technically a double blade because it's an opening in the middle. So it's fucking scary. Like, these things happen, and the problem is this also always leads to the question of, well, what can you do? Well, the problem is there's really not a way to stop skates coming up unless you eliminate physical contact altogether. And it totally ruins the sport.
And it's those fluke injuries that happen. Yeah. I mean, it's happened a couple of times this year, but it's really a fluke thing overall.
Exactly.
I've mentioned a couple of times before where like there was a younger high school kid, I believe, a couple years ago that died. I believe you sent me the text about him getting cut with a skate. Maybe he survived it, but I thought he died. But yeah, so it's like we said, it's one of those unfortunate dangers of it happening. I mean, football players die of heat exhaustion.
Right.
Soccer players die of heart attacks. Basketball players have it happen
heart
too.
Attacks,
like
exhaustion.
It happens.
Shock.
It's scary, but
yeah. So it's one of those like risks of the game, but we can definitely do more to try to limit the risks as much as possible.
Right. And the technology.
This was like a year ago.
Yeah. Technology's working its way there.
It is, for sure.
He's trying to find when he texted it to me, but it wasn't an article or something, it was just a text.
I guess to switch to a lighter note.
Yes.
You guys, we're about 12 games out from the start of the playoffs, and we already have teams starting to clinch playoff spots. The Boston Bruins, as I don't think anyone's surprised, have already clinched their spot. They will undoubtedly win the President's Trophy. They are 13 points ahead of Carolina.
Which is just crazy.
Unquestioning. Like, there's no question that the Boston Bruins are the best team in the NHL.
Right.
So they're clinched, and the Atlantic and Metro top 3 are wrapped up. It's all just formalities at this point. The Western Conference is starting to. It's definitely.
We're getting spicy.
It's still getting a little spicy, but there's still a good, like.
I mean, hey, the Wild are in first.
Yeah, there's still a good 4-team battle for the wild card.
Yeah, wild card.
Yeah.
And that's pretty standard for the Western Conference, and from what I remember, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a 6-team battle, technically, mathematically, for the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue 7, but I don't think Detroit is close enough.
No.
But I think the last realistic spot would be Buffalo. But this is where things get exciting. Is not even really just the jockeying for positions in the top 3 of your division, but the wild card. How bad do you want it? Is the real question. How badly
absolutely.
do you want to play in the playoffs?
And if you can keep your teams healthy, which we'll talk about later.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But which a lot of people are struggling with
right now. But
yeah.
And as long as you can keep your fucking teams from getting fined.
Yeah.
And suspended.
Oh my god.
Which we'll also talk about later, but
for sure.
That's a whole other issue.
Good god.
But yeah, I mean, end of the season we always run into the same kind of issues. But...
Which is exciting. Right now your top 2 that hold the spots in the Eastern Conference are the New York Islanders and the Florida Panthers. The Western Conference are controlled by the Seattle Kraken and the Winnipeg Jets. I believe this will bring us into our question of the week.
Let's do it.
Our question of the week is, who do we think the wild card teams are going to be? Matt, since you're a guest, we'll start with you. Who you got taking those 4 final spots?
Probably. I mean, Seattle's kind of a guarantee, and since
at this point, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ever since Seattle joined as a team, they have found a way to put together a great
and to stay relevant. I mean,
and to not like make sure that they're winning games as what I like to call them a fill-in team, because I think that they shouldn't be a team. I think, but I mean, if they
that's how he felt before. He's coming around.
I'm coming around to them.
He's how I feel about Alabama getting another team.
Well, they turned around big time in their second season. Like
they really
made an effort to
for a young
that
team. They're making the right moves to make a difference.
And they've got some incredible talent.
Yeah, and you got to credit a lot of that to Matty Beniers. Like, as a rookie, coming in and just going off. When everyone thought Shane Wright was going to be that guy for them, it's been Matty, and he's been a stud. Who else you got, Matt? Who else you got?
So, Seattle, Winnipeg, Calgary, and then the Blues.
You don't think Nashville's going to get a spot?
I think.
Well, there's only 2. You're only going to get 2 spots in the East and the West.
Yeah.
So
he's just looking at the list of as Winnipeg. This doesn't break down who's in what division.
I feel like I mean, Seattle. I do agree is a lock. I would say they would have to fall apart in the next 10 games.
Yeah. I think St. Louis will make the playoffs.
St. Louis, they are a very large way out.
Yeah, but they're at 69, just like Vancouver. I mean, they're still on this wild card list. I mean, right below Calgary. I mean, they're 5th on the list. So
they would have
from a different division.
It's still they have 67 points. Like they would have to
69.
Did they win tonight?
They must have, because on NHL they have. It says they have 69.
Let me update my.
Or no, they have 67 points. I'm sorry,
so they've played.
I'm looking at the wrong thing. I apologize.
I don't think they have a shot. I
mean, Nashville's at 69 too. They just have 78 points over the 67.
They would have to make up almost 20 points in 12 games.
Yeah, Nashville's at 78 points, and they've only played 69 games, whereas Winnipeg has played 72. And is at 83, tied with Seattle, because they just finished.
I think Winnipeg is, definitely. I mean, Seattle and Winnipeg, we've said. I misunderstood what Chris was saying.
Yeah, no, I feel like the only team closest that has a shot, I would say Nashville, because they're playing really well right now.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they're 3 games behind Winnipeg, and they're 5 points behind Winnipeg as well. So if they win all 3 of those games, then they push Winnipeg out.
St. Louis would have to have kind of a miracle happen. They would literally have to win out the rest of the season, and everyone else in front of them would have to lose.
Oh, I missed this wild card. Got it. I missed a whole other wild card list.
Fine.
I apologize. Here. I was looking down below like those were the only teams.
Then I changed
so Islanders definitely too.
Yeah. I would say the Caps.
Here's
Caps
the
aren't
tough
making it
one.
this year.
Do we think Florida over Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Or do we think Pittsburgh is going to come out?
No, I think it's going to be Florida over Pittsburgh.
I feel like right now
I don't
Pittsburgh is confusing to me because they're playing really well. They're just not winning games.
Yeah.
Which is the same.
I mean, they're only 1 point behind Florida.
Yeah.
And
it's
they
the
have
same
one
thing with
less
Buffalo.
game.
Buffalo has a great team and they've had a great season, but their problem is they have no goaltending. So they've just dropped because they've just been losing.
I mean, they're 10 points.
Greenway.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
Yeah,
Greenway
but like the main thing they needed to fix was defense, or not defense, goalie. Yeah.
No. There's no way Washington.
I think the
makes
Caps have a better chance than Buffalo.
I mean, if the Islanders do go
sure.
all the way, I would love to see that just because of Zach Parise is on that team. And I would love to see. I would love to see him actually have the opportunity to hold up the cup.
And the Islanders are up 17. You know, I mean, as far as the difference.
Like I'd watch that game if they actually do go all the way.
I don't know. I feel like Florida's been super weird this year. Like they're a team that were they were in the hunt for the presidents the last 3 years. Like
But they're also consistently a team that fucking tanks themselves.
Yeah, that's why
you know what I mean?
I don't know if
It
I
can
can
be
put my
very much
eggs
like
in the
Wild
Florida
in that
Panthers
sense.
basket right now.
Yeah, I would put more faith in Pittsburgh, even though obviously we hate.
I don't hate, but
well,
fuck the Penguins.
you also
Same
don't
thing.
live in the DMV.
I was
so
also raised by a Penguins fan, so
that too. Yeah, and I mean, y'all know the Caps are my team. I love them,
I
but
would
I'm
love to
honest
see the
with
Caps
myself,
step it up, but
and
kinda
they're
cutting
not going
themselves
to.
right now. Yeah,
They're old, they're
kind of fucking
tired.
themselves right now.
There's
old, they're
no
tired.
coming back for them. Now, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I will gladly eat my words. You have no idea how
Right.
happy I'd be to eat crow on this.
to make the playoffs.
Right.
I
yeah.
just don't fucking think it's gonna happen.
Hey, you know what? For first year of Pucked Up, I'd be okay if the Wild are the only team that make the playoffs.
Well,
That's good
I can
bragging
already
rights
tell
for
you,
the
my
rest of
team
the
ain't
life.
making the playoffs.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
clinched not being in the playoffs.
Yeah, I wish that there was like a marker
In
on here for
Chicago,
definitely
you know,
not
San
fucking
Jose.
making it.
Yeah.
Arizona's obviously not
No,
going.
yeah.
Like
They just-
Vancouver
yeah.
is not going to go.
Vancouver's not.
They just put like an F next to it, and the
I don't
F just
know.
stands
Right.
for this team is
St.
shit.
Louis, I've seen
Yeah.
them just come from nothing before, but that was when they still had Ryan O'Reilly.
But that
and
was
they
also
had
at
what's
the
his face that I
halfway
also
point of the
hated.
season. You know,
Right.
they turned it around
Well,
after the
no,
All-Star
I've seen
break.
them
This is a
come
little
from
too
like
late.
fourth or fifth in
Yeah.
wild card before.
I think the
They
deficit's too
fucked us
far.
over.
I think the
Yeah.
deficit's just too big. Like
I think that they traded away the best players on their team.
yeah, which is telling you they're not planning on being in the playoffs this
Right.
year.
No. They're trying to play that lottery game to get
Right. Yeah.
Connor Bedard.
Yeah, I agree.
They're
with
not
that,
even
but
remotely
I have
close.
seen them do it before
No.
because they fucked the Wild over.
But you know what? The lottery really could go any way. That's the crazy thing about the fucking lottery system is that really, like, there's still like a 10% chance that the Caps end up with fucking Bedard.
I know.
Like, and that's what's insane about the lottery
Right.
system is that there's no like, and they do it so teams don't cheat, so there's no guaranteed method.
Which is hilarious because
Right.
you mean to tell me that like the NHL really thinks that a draft
Yeah.
lottery system is going to stop teams from tanking? What the
No.
dude? What
There's
the
I don't
fuck do you
understand
think
our-
teams are
our
doing right now? Do you think Anaheim's really this bad? Do you think Columbus is
Right.
this bad? They just signed Johnny Gaudreau in the fucking offseason. Come
right.
Right.
I'm not really all that worried about the draft as long as the Wild keeps Matt Boldy, which they are.
Yeah.
If they keep Boldy and Kirill, I'll be happy.
Which we
on.
do
Kaprizov's
right
not
now.
going anywhere.
No, he's not going anywhere.
The,
And
He's gonna be a
Boldy just
staple in
signed
the
for
Wild
another 7
organization.
years.
that
for a
would be
long
the
time.
biggest
Boldy, I think,
mistake
is-
in franchise history if
It
the
would be,
fucking
to
Wild
get
let
rid of
Kirill
Kirill.
Kaprizov go.
Oh,
Be
yeah.
the biggest
That
mistake
and
in
let-
franchise history.
Yeah.
It would be that and letting Gustafsson go because he is on a roll.
But hey,
As a-
Fleury
yeah.
also he's
Fleury's
7-0
been on a
right
roll.
now.
Yeah, he's been
Yeah.
In the last 7 games, he's 7-0. So
But I think this is Fleury's last season, which will be great to
he might play
say
one more.
that
I think he's
he-
got another one in him.
I think he's
yeah,
got one
I think
more,
he'll
and I
play-
hope he stays with the Wild. I
go
do
out
think
on
he'll
his
re-sign
terms.
for like a 1-day deal with either Vegas or
I think he's
Pittsburgh.
gonna go back.
He'll re-sign with
back to
Pittsburgh for a
Vegas.
1-day deal to retire.
He
I,
will.
I
Yeah.
can't
But he
see
can
him
retire
going
at
anywhere else.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But yeah,
100%.
I think we'll keep him for another year. I think him and Gus make a really good pair right now,
Yeah.
especially when we're alternating the two of them. But they're both right now red hot. Even though Gus, he has had a lot more end up in shootouts or overtime.
As long as they
Yeah.
don't do what they did in the playoffs last year, and that is
Forget that
start
they play professional.
well that and they started Talbot way too much, and then they
Well-
put Fleury in for one game.
Well,
and then
but
they
that was
lost.
because we didn't have. Yeah, that was the situation of how we acquired Fleury.
Yeah,
Right.
it was
And I don't think Talbot was as healthy as
No.
they wanted us to think.
Well,
But,
speaking of goalies, did we want to
yeah.
talk to give an update about some stuff that happened in the week that
I
we were off?
did.
Yeah, there are a couple things that needed to be talked about for that.
Well, I know 2 of them are goalies
yes.
specifically.
Matt Murray is on the same shit again. Like, that's basically
Yeah.
all I need to say about it. I'm pissed about it. The commissioner needs to make a fucking... example out of Matt Murray, because he pushed in the last game he did it in, he pushed the goals off and then went to the refs and went, well, the posts are in upside down. Yeah, but he didn't know that until after he pushed the fucking goal off the post. Or the pegs or whatever they're called. Fucking stupid.
I don't like him.
Nobody likes Matt Murray.
Except for the commissioner.
Yeah, and Toronto Maple Leafs fans.
Yeah,
right.
that too.
The guy has some legitimate skill. He just needs to stop the bullshit with the goalposts.
Yeah.
I like Austin Matthews. The Maple Leafs are a great team. They tend to
they're an okay team.
If we aren't we keep
we live in Minnesota, they're an okay
out of
team.
the situation and out of the conversation, then it's Austin Matthews is arguably going to be their next, if he isn't already their next captain.
Oh, but yeah, no, I see what Matt was saying about that Toronto shouldn't be,
and I feel
they shouldn't be penalized because of Matt Murray's antics.
Come the draft, if they don't get rid of Matt Murray, then they should at least change him to a backup.
And I don't think that they would change him to a backup. He just, the commissioner has to set down a flat rule and start making the example out of him.
Right.
The hard part is, like we said before, is that how do you prove that it's an intentional pushing off?
I think the coach also needs to take some fucking accountability
and
tell Matt Murray that he needs to fucking stop it with the antics. Because it's a distraction to the game, to his own teammates. Like, he's doing all this shit and they're still, they're not in first place. I guess they're in second.
Right.
But
I mean, I don't even think that they're in contention.
No, I don't think.
Oh yeah, they're in the.
Are they? Okay.
Second in the division.
I closed out of that window.
Yeah, they'll be in the playoffs. They'll be in the playoffs.
They will.
Yeah,
they're a really good team. So, but think about
it's
kind of a downgrade. It's a distraction and a downgrade compared to last year with Jack Campbell.
Yeah,
obviously,
it's just not a narrative that you want.
Yeah.
While you're trying to promote the narrative of Austin Matthews being the next great, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And that sort of distraction come now that we're obviously in playoff times. Your head needs to be 100% committed to where you're at.
Yep.
And it's definitely, it's not. This isn't the type of shit that you want to have right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they make playoffs, which, if they do, I closed out of that.
Yeah,
window,
they will 100% make the playoffs.
Okay. So I just wasn't sure where they were at. But, he can't pull this shit.
No, he can't do this in playoffs.
Oh, God, no.
Beckman can't allow him to do this shit in the playoffs.
I think if
they're
it comes to that,
they're gonna fuck over somebody and they're gonna fuck over our teams.
Yeah. I think if it comes to that, Bettman will 100% step in on that.
Something.
Yeah, he's gonna have to. Right now, I understand why the NHL isn't. I get it. You want proof. Okay, that's fair. It's kind of a he said, she said type situation. We can all make our own opinions, even though pretty much everyone's almost 100% on this.
Yeah,
but
all of the
I
fans.
get why the NHL
and other
not
coaches
doing
and
anything.
shit.
Right.
But I get in a court of law, you can't prove the intent that he has. However, the track record where he's doing this shit every game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or at least he was prior to getting suspended or whatever.
Caught,
I forget. Or injured. He was hurt for a while,
Yeah.
But since he came back, I know of the one time, but I don't know how many games they've played. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Since then.
But I think similarly, we have Jordan Binnington, who we're going to talk about in our Naughty Boys section
so
for
angry.
sure. But his behavior was just so ridiculous. And then after he does what he does,
so
which,
absurd.
spoiler alert, he punches fucking another player. He punches Ryan Hartman.
Yeah.
For skating through, Hartman skates through his crease. Maybe he nudges him a little bit, but nothing that is anything that's it's something that his team could have handled.
Another player of ours in the nuts.
He did.
I mean, you can hear Fleury say he said he hit him in the nutsack. Can I say nutsack? He hit him in the nutsack.
I fucking love Fleury.
And that's why
Which is
Fleury
so
goes
funny.
after him, and then the refs wouldn't let Fleury fight him.
We haven't had a good goalie fight in a long time. I know.
And Fleury wants one. I loved this quote, though. It was so cute, where he said he used to say that he wanted basically to get a goal win the Stanley Cup and get in a fight, like in the same season.
Or
And
in his career,
he's
I think.
like, but then when he was in juniors, he got in a goalie fight and broke his knuckle, and he was out for like 6 weeks and missed the playoffs with his junior team. So he's like, so maybe I'm okay with just the goal and the Stanley Cup. But like he was all for it, like you can hear he happened to be mic'd up, and you can hear him like, it'll be good. Let's get the crowd riled up. Like, it'll be good. No. And he's like, no. And then the ref almost didn't even like let him go back and pick up his helmet, which he set down ever so gently, like the gentleman that he is. But I fucking love Flower.
Always
and I know
classy
there's a lot of
Marc-Andre
Minnesota
Fleury.
fans that disagree with me, but
I mean, I think in that case, I think the ref should have allowed the goalies to fight each other.
Go.
Like,
and then Binnington,
it was
like,
also
on his way
wrestling
to
night, though. It was like WWE night there or something. So Ric Flair was there, and he read out the lineup in the St. Louis locker room, which I was like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Did you say Ric Flair read out the?
Yep.
Okay, because we were reading a spoiler for WWE. Matt clicked on it, so I was like, did I read Ric Flair?
No, Ric Flair actually read it out, and they interviewed him after, and Ric Flair was like, "Yeah, man, I wanted to see them fight. That would have been so cool. They should have let him do it." I was like, "Okay."
Ric Flair just out for blood.
Right. I mean, same though.
Fucking nature.
But it was
boy.
Flair
bullshit.
needs to be monitored on a regular
Binnington
basis.
just straight up punched Hartman, and it's like, come on, dude. And then as he's leaving the ice, like after they break up the non-fight
he's like,
between him and Fleury, he's trying to pump up
get
the
crowd rallied up, and somebody Reeves, I think, is the one who was like, well, it was kind of a weird time to try to get the crowd riled up after he got his match penalty. But he did get fined and suspended, not fined, sorry, for 2 games. So we'll talk about that in our Bad Boys segment. But I
the
like
coach has
somebody
got
else
to tell him that he needs to get his shit together.
Yeah.
Like I would not continue putting him on the ice if he's going to
fights
continue
all
to
at
do
once.
shit like this.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's pulling shit like Murray does, where he's starting shit every game he plays right now.
But Binnington has
And
had
again,
a history
you never
of this
know
shit, though.
like what is said on the ice. Yeah,
you know, this isn't
Binnington's
new for Jordan Binnington. We're all familiar with seeing.
I love the picture. Somebody in one of the Wild groups on Facebook took the picture of him like trying to pump up for the crowd.
Yeah.
And just put a clown like wig and makeup over his face.
Well, I mean, this isn't the first time he's punched a player this year.
No, it's not.
Like, let's not forget he got in trouble against the Penguins when he punched Jason Zucker in the face for literally no fucking reason.
Yeah,
he just cleaned him out.
Like Zucker literally just fucking
clotheslined him.
And then Binnington's running his mouth to all the Penguins bench, and they're all like, "Dude, what is your fucking problem?"
Yeah,
right.
Isn't that the game that he let like 4 goals in or whatever in one period, and then he got fucking yanked?
Yeah, I mean he
was just being a douche.
And, like he like broke his stick and shit. He was so pissed off after he let like 3 or 4 goals in. And I love the fact that we then fucking kicked their ass like 8-6 or whatever it was, or 8-5.
Yeah.
But it's like we would not have had that much of a win if Binnington didn't pull the shit he played.
Well,
he pulled.
And like I'm all for aggressive goalies. Like
I love aggressive goalies.
And in the best ways of like players like Marc-Andre Fleury can be aggressive when he needs to. Henrik Lundqvist, perfect example of a goalie that's aggressive. But
Patrick Waugh, even. I mean,
Patrick Waugh was very aggressive.
But
respectful.
I don't remember. I mean, maybe he was, but I don't remember him being overly aggressive. Like
he got into a couple fights.
No, I know, but they were warranted.
He didn't come out of his crease and just punch somebody.
Yeah, no, he was respectful, but aggressive. But there's that level of aggression, but being respectful, and then there's just being a toxic player on the ice.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
like
so it's disappointing. I think I'm glad that he got suspended. I think it was well deserved. I don't think it's going to change anything 100%. For him through the season, and I think their coach needs to sit him.
Yep. Well, the biggest question right now, looking at the playoffs for Toronto, is who are you starting in net? Do you start Murray or do you start Ilya Samsonov?
I mean,
I would start Ilya.
I mean, Ilya's been doing great. He just had his baby boy.
I think
that's right. Yeah, he was gone for a little while.
He was gone for a little bit to welcome the birth of his child, which, like, congratulations to Ilya.
Right. But yes, he is off of the list.
Right.
So
now.
as he formerly played for the Washington Caps, I would love to see them start Ilya in
I like
playoffs.
Ilya a lot.
It's Samsonov.
I like
He's
Ilya a lot.
finally
He
coming
seems
into
like
his
a
own this
stand-up
year.
goalie.
I feel like the
he's
change of
finally gotten the
scenery.
support he needs.
Yeah, the change of scenery has absolutely helped him. Like, not to say he was awful
100%.
in Washington, but he was
he
really
was awful in Washington. I'll
Yeah.
fucking say it. He played piss poor because he didn't have the support that he needed as a goalie in order to really shine there.
Yeah.
So
I
played
think
like shit.
I think it's a good idea for them to consider it. I don't know.
Agreed.
Be better. That's all we have to say, Matt Murray.
Yeah, be better.
Yeah.
Do better.
Be a good boy.
Speaking
you
of,
don't have to be a good boy. Like,
just don't be a dick. Yeah.
It's our number one rule in our Discord and our Twitch channel. Don't be a dick. Period. Like,
yeah.
Speaking of goaltenders, we have one in our
boys.
3 stars of the week. Who we got this week?
Absolutely. So this week, to start out, our 3rd star is none other than Jeremy Swayman, who is the goalie for the Boston Bruins. And he had an incredible series.
I mean,
he stopped 62 shots in 2 games. 62 shots is crazy. And of course, they won those 2 games, which is why he got the 3rd star of the week. He made 36 saves for his 8th career shutout and 3rd of the season in a 3-0 victory against the Winnipeg Jets, and then 26 shots in a 7-0 triumph over the Buffalo Sabres. In doing so, Swayman becomes the first Boston goaltender with consecutive shutouts since Tuukka Rask in 2011.
Wow.
And Tim Thomas also in 2011.
That was when they won the cup.
Killer year.
Yeah, that's when the Bruins won the cup.
Mm-hmm. So Swayman has a 18-6-4 record in 30 total games this season, placing among the leaders in the goals against average for 3rd, shutouts tied for 3rd, and save percentages at 4th overall in the league.
It's funny. This is the first week we've talked about a different Boston goaltender instead of Linus Ullmark.
Right.
Yeah, Ullmark's been killing it, but I'm glad to see Swayman get some love as well.
Ullmark got really pissed when he played the Wild too, though.
Yeah.
I think he almost broke a stick too, if I remember right.
I mean, possibly. For our 2nd star, we have Cal Makar, who is a defender for the Colorado Avalanche. Makar is placed 3rd in the entire NHL right now with 8 and 9 across 4 games. So 1 goal and 8 assists for 9 points across 4 games. As they push their winning streak to 5 games from March 11th through the 20th. He had 3 assists in the 8-4 victory over the Canadiens, and then he was the lone goal in regulation in a 2-1 shootout win against the Maple Leafs. Again, we were just talking about how tough of a team they are. And then adding a goal and an assist in the 5-4 game against the Ottawa Senators. And then he capped the week with another 3 adding assists, his 3rd of the month, and 11th of his career in a 5-1 victory over the Detroit Red Wings. And again, he's also 24 and is already a Calder Trophy winner, and a Norris Trophy winner, and a Conn Smythe Trophy winner, and can't forget the Stanley Cup winner.
Cale Makar is the best defenseman in the NHL. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yes.
Somebody prove me wrong.
I hope he stays healthy because he's hurt again right now.
He is someone that you're gonna want to watch when you watch the playoffs.
He's not even in the prime of his career.
Dude,
No,
he's not even close.
Yeah.
He's still so young, and he's just fucking killing it, and I'm happy to see that for him.
I just hope he stays healthy.
Agreed. And then
he's on my fantasy team until tonight.
Same. Oh, nice. So for the 1st star of a week is a player I love to hate. I don't actually hate him. I just hate when I play him because he's so fucking good. I just want him on my team so goddamn bad. So the 1st star is Mika Zibanejad. He's the center for the New York Rangers. Again, I freaking love Zibanejad. I think he's an incredible player. I fucking hate playing him because he's so goddamn filthy, and not in a negative way. Like, he's so stinking good.
Fucking good.
It's like, goddamn, you just can't cover him. He puts up so many points against our team. It physically hurts me to watch, but I love watching him play other people. So again, Zibanejad got multiple points in all 4 of the games that they played that week. He got 5 goals and 4 assists for a total of 9 points. Which means that the Rangers had a perfect week, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you.
She's a little salty because her team lost to them during that week.
Oh,
Fine.
So
It's
In
fine. We won't talk
animated
about it.
form.
he scored twice, which was the 9th multi-goal performance of the season for Mika. And he's actually leading the team in multi-goal performances, which again, fucking congratulations to you.
Right.
But those 2 goals were against the fucking Washington Capitals in animated form.
In animated form.
In animated
Fuck
form,
you,
which
Mika.
does that make
I
it
love you
hurt
so
that much
much.
more, D?
It kind of
Other than
does.
it.
It kind of does. I'm not gonna lie.
It doesn't seem real. 'cause it's
Zibanejad
animated.
then also got 2 points and 3 assists in consecutive wins versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then 1 goal and 1 assist in March. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Okay, so I'm sorry. 2 and 3 is because they played them like back to back. So he got 1 goal and 1 assist in one game, and then 1 goal and 2 assists in another game. So again, they just fucking beat the shit out of the Penguins too. Well, not really, but
Well, good.
for them.
Yeah.
Happy
They
for
deserve
that, right? And then he finished the week with 1 goal and 1 assist for his 4th consecutive multi-point effort, a first in his career, over 755 games played, and a 7-0 triumph against the Nashville Predators. Mika is 29 years old, so again, he's still relatively young.
He's the prime of his career
He's
right
played
now.
in 70 total games
Mhm.
so far this season, so he is ranked among the league's leaders in power play goals with 3rd, power play points tied for 9th, and goals tied for 11th overall in the league, and 20th overall in the league in points with 77. The 12-season NHL veteran also now has 62 goals, 65 assists, and 83 career appearances during the month of March, which is an average of 1.53 points per game. So shout out to Mika. You're wonderful.
It's so
Please stop scoring against my
Love to
team.
hate you.
It's so crazy to me to think about 20th in the league
Yeah,
is 77 points. Like,
right? That's where we're at these
that's
days.
such a good
Yeah.
that's such a good season.
Yeah.
That's such a good season. But when you got guys like
And-
fucking McJesus putting up 80,000 points a game, like
And I mean, players like Ovechkin, who just got his 13th 40-point season.
yes.
So
That's fucking nuts.
13 seasons, he's
scored
put up
30
40 points
40
or more.
goals. That's nuts.
That's that kind of, I mean, we just have so many talented scorers in the league right now that, yeah, you have someone who has 77 points and is sitting 20th.
This is the best
sitting at
time
the
to be a
bottom of
hockey
the fucking
fan.
board.
Best time to be a hockey fan,
Absolutely.
hands down.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Dude, shout out to Mika Zibanejad, man. He's
Also, he
Yeah,
has a really
great.
fun name to say. I love saying Mika Zibanejad.
Mika
Like,
Zibanejad.
It's
I
great.
don't even. My brain goes "Bleh" when I try, so I'm
He's-
just gonna call him Mika.
He's so fun to watch. It's
He is. He is very fun to watch.
He's a really
I mean, it's like
creative
watching
player.
Connor McDavid or Kirill Kaprizov, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
any of those guys. Matt Boldy too. Like they're fun to watch.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
And the thing is,
Matt
I don't think Mika's gotten enough props for what he's
No.
done for the New York
No.
Rangers. I think he's been overshadowed by a lot of other people, but he is a fucking workhorse
Oh,
for that
God,
team.
yeah.
And so he deserves his fucking flowers for that.
Absolutely.
He along with Panarin are holding that team down. Like that team is so fucking stacked now.
hate Panarin though.
But that's what I'm
But-
saying, though, is that, like, I think Artemi Panarin's name has been mentioned so many
not
more
that much.
times than Zibanejad's.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
and that's unfortunate
he's so
because
good. But
I bet
Panarin
you nobody
is
can
such a
pronounce
star.
it.
I mean, it might be that people have a hard time saying Mika Zibanejad.
Mika Zibanejad.
But I wish he would get more you know, shout outs from people for how great he is.
Earlier we kind of discussed like new technology and stuff integrating into hockey jerseys and such. Well, that's all going to be starting to come to a head in the next few years as the NHL just announced that Fanatics will become the NHL official on-ice uniform outfitter after the final season of the Adidas deal, which is next season. So 24-25 season, we will see Fanatics take over. I'm super excited for this. Fanatics has been a partner with the NHL for almost a decade now, if not over a decade, just as like fan apparel and such.
Right.
And I believe
I do like their jerseys better. I said this in our group text, but I like their jerseys better personally. I like the feel of them. Like Dee mentioned, they are much more size inclusive.
Yeah.
Turn your flashlight off, please. Actually, yeah, I think that this is a Fanatic.
It is.
Yeah, this is a
yours is
Fanatic
a Fanatics
version of the
one?
Wild jersey.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think they're
comfortable.
a nicer texture than the
They're very
Adidas ones.
The Adidas ones I felt like are just too scratchy.
Yeah, they are much more scratchy, more old school feel for what hockey jerseys used to feel like. These I can sleep in if I want to. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah. I have a Fanatics and an Adidas, and they both fit very differently.
Yeah. They're very, very different. The Adidas ones seem much more boxy to me.
Right. I think what's going to be interesting to see is what they bring to the table in terms of new tech for the jerseys, new styles. Like we mentioned, I think they said around 2026, 2027, they're going to start trying to incorporate the skate cut technology. So we see a lot less of that stuff.
Absolutely. ESPN reported that during the 26-27 season that they're going to make changes to fabrics and introduce more skate blade and cutting protections into those. But until then, they're going to stay with the manufacturers they currently have.
Right.
Which I think is fair.
One quote I do like from CEO of Fanatics, Doug Mack. He said, "We look for evolution, not revolution. We're not going to change it up just to change it up."
Yeah,
which is a good way to look at things. Like you want to actually bring in something like the reverse retros are fun. I have one.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get my hands on the other one, but like it's such a fun thing to do. That being said, you can only do so much of that before people don't give a shit.
Well, they've confirmed that reverse retro has ended. However, the NHL also weirdly at the same time confirmed that they own all of the rights to the reverse retro jerseys.
Yeah.
Which to me might signal that we might get third jerseys for some teams that were the reverse retro style that become possibly a permanent fixture for at least a season because they own the rights to those.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting announcement made at the same time that this was happening.
Sure.
So I'm excited. It's a 10-year deal. Obviously numbers aren't super specific on the agreement, but it will be until the 2034-2035 season.
We know that Adidas was paying over $70 million a year for the rights to produce the jerseys. So we can assume that Fanatics is somewhere close to that.
And for those that aren't aware, Fanatics is basically the largest retailer of sports memorabilia, sports like clothing. They're partnered with the NHL, the NFL, the NBA, MLB,
WWE.
Partnered with WWE. They're partnered with the National Lacrosse League as well. So they're everywhere. Fanatics is killing it. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they have to bring to the table.
I am too.
Another topic that showed up this week has been a lot about mental health in the sport.
Yeah.
Dee, do you want to elaborate more on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So back in December, it was announced that Sam Poulin from the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he said in December, I need to take a break. And, we've talked about it before with the NHL Player Assistance Program. So he recently just came back to the league and he released a statement. I'm going to read it to you. He said, 3 months ago, I made a decision to take a break from hockey and return home to take care of myself and my mental health. After seeking the help I needed, I am now ready to return to Wilkes-Barre to rejoin my team. I want to thank everyone who helped get me through this difficult time, including my family, my girlfriend, my friends, my medical team, the entire Pittsburgh Penguins organization, my teammates, and the fans, who showed unconditional love and support. I strongly encourage everyone to speak openly about mental health because it affects us all. For those who may be struggling, please know that you are not alone. And I think that we've seen several talks about mental health this year. I think the NHL had a program this year called Hockey Talks where they were talking about mental health. And I know the Seattle Kraken team was all really involved in that as well. And I just think it's so, so important because I think we all tend to think of hockey players and professional sports players as well in general, just like they have so much money. What the fuck could be wrong in their lives that they would be have any kind of issues.
Right.
And the truth of it is that besides the fact that they're professional hockey players, they're also people. They have all the same issues that us regular people have as well. And so when you see someone like him talk about it and take time to take a mental health break, like that's actually super important for the league, because we see it all the time that players rush back from injury, and that has to take a toll on them mentally to know they're going back into one of the hardest hitting, fastest moving games and they're not ready for it. Like mentally that takes a toll.
I think Sam said too, something along the lines of, whether you're a professional athlete or not, if you're having these thoughts, just know you're not alone.
Right.
And that's such an important thing. And it gets said a lot, but I mean, it affects everybody. Look at people like Robin Williams, people who you don't necessarily think can go through severe mental health crises or crises. Do. And so like I he's a young guy and obviously making a lot of money, and again, like, you wouldn't think he has any issues in his life, but depression, mental health issues can affect anybody, and it can smack you out of nowhere sometimes.
Right. And even look at it more notably towards the NHL. A couple years ago, Robin Leonard came out and went on a couple podcasts and talked about his issues with battling mental health issues, battling addiction through just situations and where he was at and where he was playing, which had led him to an even darker place at one point. And, super happy he got out of that. But as someone who's played the sport and been around the locker room, I would say that it's, out of all the sports I played, it's one of the hardest locker rooms to be a part of, because there's this weird pressure around the sport, and it can be a very toxic environment.
Yeah.
And I can only speak on my own experiences with that, but it definitely changed my opinion on playing the game, and really understanding where I was mentally to be able to put myself in a better position to play the game. I stopped my senior year of high school, just because I felt like I wasn't in a good enough headspace to play, and I focused more on other sports. But I feel like there's a huge stigma in sports in general, and it needs to change. We need to change that.
Absolutely.
And the only people that can change that are the players and the fans. Like, normalize the idea of players venting about their mental health, or and I know in other sports, in NASCAR has kind of gone through it the past couple years. Driver Alex Bowman has been very open about he's got severe anxiety, and it hurts him on several occasions during a race, and when he does bad, he feels his depression, and he talks about this all the time very openly, and fans just give him shit for it.
Yeah.
And
that's the part that needs to change, because when we have people coming out being like, I have anxiety, I have depression, I have this, I have that, and you meet them with, oh, well, suck it the fuck up, pussy. Like, it doesn't help them. It doesn't change anything. And ultimately, you're just signaling to anyone else who struggles with that they are bad or not enough or whatever, and you're only going to further fucking hurt people.
Oh yeah.
And so we need to just be a little bit more fucking compassionate and realize that people have problems and that it's okay and that we can support them through them.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's I think best way to say it.
Moving on, we're going to talk about the bad boys first, because it's fun. We have a couple of new fines starting on March 7th, since we did miss last week. We're just going to go over it. Ryan Hartman from the Minnesota Wild did get fined $4,594.59 for slashing Rasmus Anderson.
Sure did.
On March 11th, John Tavares. Told y'all, it's been a long day. Got fined $5,000 for slashing Vincent Descharnais. Thank you. And on the 16th, Nick Suzuki, which this one kind of surprised me, got fined $2,500 for cross-checking Anton Lundell. What I don't see on here, which we did want to just cover, because in the last podcast we had mentioned that David Quinn got ejected for saying the F-bomb in more times than we could count. He did end up getting fined $25,000, which I guess is the standard fine, according to my grandmother, who I don't argue hockey shit with her. She knows everything. So she said that that's the standard fine, because we were trying to figure out if it was like $1,000 for every time he said the F-bomb.
I was hoping. That would have been
She's
fucking
like, no,
amazing.
Bruce Boudreau said it once and got fined $25,000 a couple years ago. So I'm like, well, if Bruce got fined $25,000, then it must be the standard fine.
That's fair,
yeah.
Because we all know Bruce is not that type of guy to overuse it. So, but yeah, it was pretty phenomenal, which we talked enough about it last podcast. But if you missed it, go back and listen, because it's pretty fucking funny. As far as suspensions go, Tony D'Angelo got suspended for 2 games for spearing Corey Perry,
who just got back from injury.
So very unnecessary. Spearing somebody is not a necessary thing,
especially on skate.
I read this and I was like, is this a WWE match or is this a hockey game?
Right.
But also, which we touched on earlier, Jordan Binnington got suspended 2 games for roughing and unsportsmanlike conduct against Ryan Hartman from the Minnesota Wild. Yeah, he definitely said some shit too that contributed to him getting suspended and that match penalty. For those of you that do like to know the amounts, because it always makes me go, I don't make enough money. Tony D'Angelo forfeited $54,054.05 of his salary, and Bennington forfeited $64,864.86 of his salary, each for those 2 games that they were suspended.
Yeah, I'm still in the wrong business.
I do still have to say really quickly, I forgot about this, but it just reminded me of seeing how much he forfeited in his suspension. Jordan Binnington also said that he felt like he was Will from Good Will Hunting when he had to go to court to face the whatchamacallit. He was like, yeah, it felt like him, like I was being wrongfully accused of all this shit. And I was like, what are you talking?
Oh my
Jordan,
God,
you fucking did it. You did it.
You did it. Like, not only the shit you did against Hartman, but you hit a guy in the nuts.
Yeah.
Which is not necessary.
So, yeah.
I love a good hockey fight, but you don't have to low blow somebody.
Yeah.
Anyway. Then going on to our injury report. Update again on Anthony Stellaris. He's still out for the rest of the season. He did have his arthroscopic knee surgery and is currently recovering from it. So hopefully we'll be able to see him back next year. Anaheim, as we said earlier, isn't making the playoffs.
Yeah, let's hope Stolarz comes back to a better fucking situation.
Right?
Yeah.
For Arizona, we have Josh Brown, who is missed the last 3 games with an unknown injury. Unknown if he will suit up tomorrow night against the Oilers, which is Wednesday. Zach Cassian sat out the last game with an upper body ailment. He is also unknown for tomorrow night. Andrew Ladd is placed on IR with a knee injury, expected to miss the rest of the season. That's it for new ones for them. And for Boston, we've got Derek Forbort.
Great fucking name. Yeah, great fucking
Derek
name.
Derek Forbort is out of the lineup due to lower body injury, not expected to return until middle of April. And Taylor Hall, who I also had to drop from my fantasy team, it was added to long-term IR with a lower body injury, will remain out of action until early part of April. So
it's funny, I didn't
obviously we know Boston's
I didn't realize you and I have so many players on the same team for our fantasy teams.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and I picked up Taylor mid-season because I think when I put Duclair on IR, I picked up Taylor. Now Duclair is hurt again.
Taylor's riding pine
my
for me
fantasy
right
team's a mess, y'all.
Same.
But I beat my grandma. That's all I care about. For Buffalo, we have Eric Comrie out of action due to lower body ailment, considered week to week going forward. Also, former Wild player Jordan Greenway is out. Was held out previous game due to an upper body injury. May or may not join his team on Friday when they play the Devils. And then Matthias Samuelson is idle with an upper body injury. Will miss an extended period. So right now it's just out indefinitely. I'm sure they're evaluating that injury. I was reading Oliver Kylington and Calgary at the same time, and it came out Kyler. Calgary has nobody new injured. Carolina, we have Andre Casse, who's been, but they just moved him to long-term IR with that concussion, likely not to return until the early part of April. So, but again, like we've said before, don't rush those concussions. Come back. And Ranta.
There you go.
Not Ranta-ta-ta. Like I want to say like the Pokemon.
Rat-ta-ta-ta-ta.
Rat-ta-ta-ta-ta. He is out of the lineup with a lower body injury. Team officials have yet to provide the exact return date. And then Andrei Svechnikov, designated to long-term IR. He did have surgery to repair a torn ACL, and he is now out for the rest of the year, which we kind of anticipated. Chicago, fucking falling apart, but who's shocked by that? Buddy! We have Anders Bjork. He is out with a groin injury. Not expected to come back until early April. Most of these are early April, if not indefinitely. Colin Blackwell, also with a pulled groin. What were you two doing in the locker? I'm just kidding. But he also has a pulled groin. He will be out until the beginning of April. Andreas Englund pulled a hamstring. He's going to miss 2 weeks. Cole Gutman will miss the rest of the season after he had shoulder surgery. Peter Mrazek also pulled a groin. He's out with a groin. Honestly, Chicago, what are you doing?
What is happening?
He missed the last 3 games with that groin injury. He may be able to come back when they face the Capitals on Thursday. Peter, for your own health, I'd say don't come back to face the Caps. Especially with the bender that Ovi is on currently.
It's not worth it.
Austin Wagner is also out indefinitely for an injury-related infection. I think we've touched on that before, but that's syphilis. A huge bummer.
Yeah.
For Colorado, we have Pavel Francouz. I love his name. He's out with a lower body injury. His recovery timetable is yet to be determined. Darren Helm was on IR with a lower body injury, maybe back at the beginning of April. Eric Johnson is on IR with a broken ankle, maybe back as early as the beginning of April, though. Gabriel Landeskog wound up on IR after having that knee surgery. He's out for God knows how long. Arturi Lenkinen, I think, anyway. He is out. He had surgery to repair a fractured finger. He will miss 4 to 6 weeks, so late April for him. Cale Makar, who we mentioned earlier, he sat out the last game with a lower body injury. May or may not play Wednesday against the Penguins. He's just been so up and down. But when he's on, when he plays, he's doing great.
Yeah,
it's just trying to keep him injury free, especially before
I would
playoffs.
say take a break. Don't play the Penguins and get your shit fucked up.
Absolutely.
Be healthy for the playoffs.
Don't. I mean, do, because I'm a Wild fan first and foremost. But also don't, because we care about you. And then Evan Rodriguez, he is going through concussion protocol. Unknown when he will be back. For Columbus, really just one new one. Elvis Merzlinskins. Sure, that works for me tonight. He is out dealing with a personal matter, but also says illness. So I don't know which it could be, but he is out indefinitely as of right now.
Yeah.
For Dallas, Mason Marchment, which is a great name also.
Yeah.
He is out with a knee injury, will remain out for 3 to 4 weeks, so that puts him mid-April. Tyler Seguin, Seguin?
Sagan.
Right?
Sagan.
There's no A.
It's pronounced Sagan.
I don't fucking care. Put an A in your name if you want it to be Sagan.
Welcome to Danger
Tyler
Does
Sagan.
Names.
Tyler, he's out of action due to a laceration in his owie. Not expected to return until early part of April. I don't know if that happened on the ice or not. I'm assuming it probably did.
Yeah.
I haven't ever heard them word it like that.
Right.
Yeah. And then Scott Wedgwood is sidelined with a lower body ailment, not expected to return until middle. Are you serious right now? I apologize if anybody else heard that.
It was a skate
All right,
cut.
he just spawned a demon out of his butthole. Let's go back to Scott.
Anyway.
I'm not gonna lie, I did hear it.
Scott Wedgwood is sidelined with a lower body ailment, not expected to return until middle of April, also on my fantasy team.
Wedgwood.
Do better.
Nice.
For Detroit, we have Ben Chiorat. I don't care if that's how you say it or not. It's Chiapet that rotted.
Yeah, sure.
He missed the last 3 games on account of an upper body injury. May or may not play the Blues on Thursday with his team. Simon Edvinson was absent from the last game due to an injury in an unlisted location. Also uncertain if he'll join the team Thursday, as with Adam Earn, who sat out the last game with a lower body injury. Robbie Fabry, which is another name we love around here. He is also out with a lower body injury, not expected to return until the middle of April. For Edmonton, we have Ryan McLeod.
McLeod.
I always say it McLeod because I make a joke. Okay.
Where's Zach when we
Ryan McLeod. He was absent from the previous 4 games with an upper body injury. Maybe back when they play Arizona tomorrow, Wednesday. And Ryan Murray was shuttled via the syphilis bus to the injured reserve list with a back injury.
Syphilis threw his back out. Been there.
He threw the back out on the syphilis bus.
Yeah.
If you don't get the reference, you got to go back a ways. But whenever players are shuttled, it's the syphilis bus. We got there. I promise it made sense at the time.
Sense. Yeah.
He is not expected to return until the beginning of April. For Florida, we have Sam Bennett, who was absent the last game with an undefined issue. May or may not play Thursday when they face. Why can't I say face the first time?
I don't know.
I'm trying to say play and face at the same time.
You're just having a hard time.
I'm so tired. All of a sudden, my body went, fuck you.
When it's nighttime.
Same.
Yeah, it's not nighttime, y'all. Okay, so uncertain if he will play Thursday against the Maple Leafs with his team. Same with Anthony Duclair. He sat out the last game due to an injury in an unlisted location. Also questionable for Thursday. For LA, we have Sean Druzy. He is out with an upper body ailment, out indefinitely as of right now. Same with, unfortunately, Kevin Fiala, who is out of commission with a lower body injury. No timetable currently. That sucks.
That's rough.
For Minnesota, the one that hurts my soul, Kirill Kaprizov, out with a lower body injury. He is currently still on track for 3 to 4 weeks, so that puts him, mid-April. Yeah. I know he's itching to come back, but
come back healthy, Kirill.
Yeah, we need him healthy, especially since we, made it to first tonight. We'll be out at first, I'm sure, tomorrow, but that's fine. Also, Gustav Nyquist, who we talked about before, he's been injured all season, but he's a new addition to our team.
Yeah.
But he may be back middle of April, and I know he's itching to come back. And I want to just touch on him for a second. I was really impressed. He went with the guys on their last road trip. I don't know if he's with them on the current one too, but he wanted to get acclimated and get to know the team. So he was with them before he was even skating again. So that just really impressed me with him as a person.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on that. And our fearless leader, Jared Spurgeon, is sat out the last game with an illness, may or may not be back on Thursday.
Hopefully
My
he doesn't have
guess
that
is
norovirus.
that because Middleton was out for a couple of games with an illness. He's out. I think it's norovirus, personally.
Yeah.
Which, having had it, sucks.
Sucks just a little bit.
Sucks ass.
Montreal, you're still fucking falling apart.
Oh my god, dude.
Joel Armenia, out of action with that upper respiratory infection still. Not expected to be back until the beginning of April. Christian Dvorak will sit out the remainder of the season after having a season-ending knee surgery. Jake Evans is on IR with a lower body injury, may be able to be back beginning of April, but we'll see. Caden Gooley, or Gould, depends on where you're from, your accent, a whole lot of other things, how tired you are. But he was absent the previous 2 games with a lower body ailment. May be back, though, on Thursday when Montreal faces the Bruins. Again, for your own health, probably stay out of that game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jordan Harris suffered a lower body injury. He is currently listed as out indefinitely. And then Jesse Yolnlin. I don't know how to say that. But Jesse sat out the last game with an illness, may be back on Thursday. Again, probably norovirus with how big that is right now.
Yeah.
I hate to put labels on it, but just knowing how rampant it is and it spreads so fast.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you have it. Like, for us, I don't know about Chris, but it was like we had bad symptoms for the weekend, and then it was the fatigue.
Mine was kind of the whole week.
Yeah. I just had symptoms for like really one night, but I had a fever for the whole weekend and was really nauseous and stuff. But the fatigue was awful.
I had nausea for like 3 days.
Yeah. For New Jersey, Nathan Bastian is sidelined due to an upper body injury. No current timetable for his return. Mackenzie Blackwood was shifted to IR with a lower body ailment. Not known if he will come back before the beginning of April, but otherwise beginning of April. Curtis Lazar is out of action with a lower body ailment and currently listed as out indefinitely. And Miles Wood sat out the last 4 games with an unlisted issue. His status is questionable for Friday. Clouded, as CBC Sports says.
Clouded. Okay.
For the Islanders, we have Sebastian Aho. Was held out of the last game with an upper body issue. He is questionable for Friday when they take on the Blue Jackets.
It's not that Sebastian Aho. It's the other Sebastian Aho.
Remember, there's 2 Sebastian Ahos.
There's one on the count.
Yeah, there's
one's an a-hole and
one's an a-hole. Yeah, so one plays the Islanders, one plays
really
the
not,
Carolina
but I don't like him. Josh Bailey missed the last 2 games due to an illness. Again, my assumption is norovirus.
Yeah.
May not know if Friday's game is up in the air for him, which is the other thing that goes, it's probably norovirus, because when you're that fatigued, you don't know if you're going to feel up to playing.
That's fair.
Currently, nobody hurt on the Rangers. Let's go fuck them up, boys. For Ottawa, we have Dylan Ferguson, who missed the last game due to an illness. Unknown if he will be active for Thursday's game against the Lightning. Matthew Joseph, out indefinitely with a lower body injury, as is Parker Kelly with an unknown ailment.
That's a good
No
one.
timetable for either of them. Cam Talbot is out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until early part of April. For Philly, we have Sean Courtier, is expected to be sidelined until at least the beginning of April after he had that back surgery revision, and is currently listed as being on IR. For Pittsburgh, we have Nick Bonino, was on long-term IR following surgery to repair a kidney laceration. Ouch.
Yeah,
he is considered week-to-week moving forward.
He said it felt like razor blades just stabbing him in the side.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. Dmitry Kulikov, he is currently listed as IR with a lower body issue, will be out until the beginning of April. Jeff Petrie, Again, depends on how tired you are. Missed the last 2 games due to an upper body injury. Questionable for Wednesday's game against the Avs. Probably for you're on the Pittsburgh Penguins. You're probably all right. Marcus Pettersson has been shifted to long-term IR with a lower body injury. Listed as out indefinitely, as is Jan Rutta with a lower body issue. This one place that says out indefinitely for Jan, one place says week to week.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Come back when you feel like it.
Somebody figure it out.
Yeah. Figure your shit out.
And then let us know.
Or come back whenever you're
ready.
Shit. For San Jose, we have Andreas Johnson.
One of them.
Johnson. I don't know. There's 2 S's. It makes my brain hurt. He was removed from the previous game with an unknown issue. Questionable for Thursday's game against the Canucks. Jacob McDonald is out of commission with an upper body injury. No current timetable for his return. Radim Simek is out due to concussion-related issues, listed as out indefinitely. And Yevgeny Svechnikov is out of action with a lower body injury, not likely to be able to be back until the beginning of April. For Seattle, we have Philip Grubauer.
Close enough.
We call him Gruby, so...
Gruby.
Yeah.
Philip Grubauer.
You know what?
Bauer.
You got there.
Grubauer.
That's
There
all
you
that
go.
matters.
Yeah.
There you go.
We have Bauer hockey here. I don't know why adding Gru to it.
Grubauer,
my brain just has
broke.
a fucking conniption fit. He sat out the last game with an illness. Questionable for Thursday's game. Seattle plays the Predators. Probably for your own health. Sit out. John Hayden. He had surgery for a lower body injury. Expected to miss 12 weeks. So he won't be back until late June.
Wow.
No injuries for St. Louis. Let's go fuck them up too. Just for the fun of it, because
It's calling for violence. That's what we're here for.
Tampa Bay, again, nobody new for them either. For Toronto, we have TJ Brody. He sat out the last game with an unlisted injury. He is questionable for Thursdays when they play the Panthers. Victor Met, he has been moved to long-term IR with a lower body injury, but may be able to be back early part of April. And we cried over Ryan O'Reilly. Not really already, but for Vancouver, we have Philip Hronek. He is out with an upper body injury, not expected to be back until early part of April, but he's the only new one. For Vegas, they're kind of falling apart a little bit too. Laurent Brossoit.
I mean, I would think that'd be Brossoit.
Brossoit?
Yeah.
Sure.
This
He
dude
is
is
on.
French.
I apologize again, guys. This week I'm just past the point of caring at this moment of my life. My tongue is not cooperating. But he is on IR with a lower body injury. May be back. Not projected to be back until at least the early part of April. Aiden Hill is out of the lineup with a lower body injury, out indefinitely. Keegan Kolsar, another great name. He is out indefinitely with an upper body injury. Nicholas Waugh is out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until early part of April. For him, for the Caps, John Carlson is on long-term IR due to skull fracture and laceration of the temporal artery. Super scary injury for him. Not expected to come back until the beginning of April, which I think is the update there.
Yeah, can confirm he was in a contact jersey at practice yesterday.
So that's good news.
Yeah.
So they
Darcy
definitely...
Kemper, which this one hurts my soul too. He was out the last 2 games. You can tell who's played for the Wild just by Matt's reaction.
Right.
He was held out the last 2 games with an upper body injury, but is questionable for Thursday when they play the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
It might be a good game for him to come back. The Blackhawks really don't pose much of a threat to anybody right now.
No, they suck.
Trevor Van Riemsdyk is away from the team for the birth of his child.
A baby.
Indefinitely.
A mini Van Riemsdyk?
A mini Van Riemsdyk, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, congrats, Trevor. It's exciting.
Well, but yeah, that's awesome for him.
Yeah.
And lastly, for Winnipeg, we have Sam Gagner, expected to miss the rest of the season after having hip surgery. And finally, Dylan Sandberg is out last game with a leg injury, is questionable for Thursday's matchup versus the Duck. And that concludes our injury, or as we like to say, the Boo-Boo Boys and the Bad Boys.
We have now wrapped up the segment that I have aptly named, and I think is accurate, Danger Does Names.
Danger Does Names.
Danger Does Names.
Poorly, might I add.
Hey, listen, we don't say how you do them, we just say you do them.
I mean, if I can make one person giggle, I'm okay with it.
Well, you make us laugh.
You make me giggle every
fucking week.
Every fucking
D and I are just dead.
You don't have to talk about what my face looks like, though.
Oh,
hey,
no,
none of us
beautiful.
said that. Listen, at least there's only
you
one
opened that
bald
door.
guy.
I had to take it.
So I think the best way to wrap this up is one of my favorite segments every week, and that is the obscure NHL Player of the Week.
Who is it this week, Chris?
We have a gentleman by the name of Maxim Kuznetsov. No relation to Evgeny Kuznetsov, and no, he's not Maxim Kuznetsov, the swimmer.
Kuznetsov is just a really popular name, by the way, because I also went to school with the Kuznetsov.
So he is a Kazakhstani-born Russian player. He was drafted 26th overall in the 1995 NHL draft by the Detroit Red Wings. Can anyone take a guess at what he happened to do at some point with the Red Wings?
Win a Stanley Cup.
That he did. Fun fact, he played 39 games that season. When the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup in 2002. He did not play in the playoffs. His name was left off of the Stanley Cup trophy because he was 2 games short of the minimum of 41 games required to be engraved in the cup. But the Detroit Red Wings gave him a Stanley Cup ring.
Very nice.
Which is super awesome. He played 136 games in the NHL with the Red Wings and the LA Kings. He had 2 goals, 8 assists, 10 points, and everyone's favorite stat line, 137 penalty minutes.
A bad boy.
Yeah,
love a good bad boy.
We do love a good bad boy.
Bad boy.
Yeah.
He did spend a good amount of time in Russian leagues and in the AHL. His last season in the NHL was the 03-04 season with the Kings, and he played 16 games, where he had an assist and 20 penalty minutes.
Nice.
He retired from professional hockey in 2009. He had a nice little career. I would say winning a Stanley Cup is, kind of a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, shout out to Maxim Kuznetsov for being our obscure NHL Player of the Week.
Whoop, whoop.
So, I think it is unfortunately that time to end it. Thank you guys so much for being here this week. I'm really excited for the playoffs and everything coming forward. The wildcard battles, so they're going to heat up a lot.
For sure.
And the playoffs will be exciting. Once the season wraps up, we will give you our predictions for the playoffs, and it'll be exciting. Matt, thank you so much for being here, man. We really appreciate you coming and hanging out.
Thanks for having me.
Hopefully we'll have you back at some point during the playoffs.
Yep.
Yes.
And if you guys aren't following us everywhere on our social medias and such, everything will be in the description. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button and you subscribe. Leave us a comment too. Let us know what you guys think of who's going to be the playoff teams by the end of the season. Wild card's going to change. Most likely. We might have a little bit of a change, a little bit of a mix-up. Also, just say hi. That'd be cool, too. just say
let
hi.
us know if you have any questions that you want us to answer.
Discord, yeah.
Yeah,
leave us a message. We have yet to have anybody leave us a message through Anchor.
That may be changing because Anchor is now changed to something different.
Oh,
so I don't know
gotcha.
if that's still
Never
a
mind.
feature, but if it is, next week I'll let you guys know.
Fucking do it.
Awesome.
Any parting words from you lovely ladies?
No.
Nah. Thanks, y'all.
Nothing.
Indeed.
It is past bedtime.
Yes, I
Yeah,
know. I'm
that's
feeling
good.
the same way. Until next week, thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you next time in the Face Off Circle.